Have you ever wondered if someone out there feels something deep for you, but chooses to stay silent, not because they don't care, but because they care too much? Silent love is real, and it's happening more often than you think. Beneath polite smiles, casual texts, and friendly conversations, there could be someone who's emotionally tied to you in a way they don't even understand. Type awakened mind in the comments if your soul feels this message. Psychology tells us something powerful. Nearly 90% of people who secretly fall in love never confess it. Not because they don't want to, but because they're afraid. Afraid of ruining the connection. Afraid of being vulnerable. Afraid that the feelings won't be returned. And so instead of speaking, they show, but the ways they show it are so subtle that most of us miss them entirely. Carl Jung, a brilliant voice in modern psychology, studied these hidden emotional signals. He revealed that repressed feelings never disappear. They just take on different forms. Today, we're exploring 13 hidden signs that someone may be in love with you without saying a word. These signs are often unconscious. They leak out in the way someone looks at you, talks to you, jokes with you, or simply stands by you during tough times. Let's begin with a strange but common behavior. When someone compliments you on things others overlook, or even teases you constantly. These might seem like contradictions, but they're not. It's a psychological phenomenon known as projection. When someone has deep feelings they aren't ready to face, and their mind channels those emotions in strange, unexpected ways. It could be praise, noticing your laugh, your ideas, your quirks, or it could come as light teasing, poking fun at you in playful ways that always bring you back into their emotional orbit. What makes this so confusing is how unconscious it is. This person may not even realize they're doing it, but if they always seem to find a way to involve you, even indirectly, chances are they're trying to maintain a closeness without exposing themselves. They might repeat things you've said, or laugh a little louder when you speak. Even when you're not in the room, they might still find ways to bring you up. Their subconscious can't help it. Jung said the unconscious doesn't stay hidden. It finds cracks to leak through. Whether it's in the way someone praises the tiniest detail about you, or in how they constantly playfully challenge you, it's all part of the same invisible message. I feel something for you, but I'm scared to say it. Can you think of someone in your life who treats you just a little differently than everyone else? Maybe they admire you in ways others don't, or maybe their sarcasm feels more personal. Keep that person in mind, because as we move deeper, the signs will only get clearer. Have you ever felt someone inch closer to you, only to suddenly pull away as if they were never interested at all? That confusing pattern, warm one day, distant the next, isn't always a mixed signal. Sometimes it's a cry from the unconscious. It's someone fighting a battle between what they feel and what they fear. In psychology, this behavior often links to something called ambivalent attachment, a push-and-pull dance rooted in the fear of rejection. John Bowlby, the mind behind attachment theory, explained how deeply this runs. When someone loves silently, they want closeness but fear the vulnerability that comes with it. They step forward emotionally, but as soon as they feel exposed, they retreat. It's not that they don't care. It's that they care more than they know how to handle. Carl Jung added that intense repressed emotions don't stay buried. They leak out through contradictions. Silent love often shows up in this cycle of approach and retreat. One moment, they're eager to connect, making eye contact, starting conversations, showing interest in your world. The next, they vanish or turn cold. Not because they've lost interest, but because the emotional risk feels too high. But here's the clue. They always come back. This behavior isn't random. It's patterned. And more importantly, it's personal. They don't act this way with just anyone, only with you. When they pull away and then return, It's often because their inner world is full of feelings they haven't sorted out yet. And deep down, they hope you'll notice, without having to say a word. Another important signal comes through their energy. Have you noticed long pauses, lingering stares, or a subtle tension when you're in the same room? It's that emotional undercurrent that nobody mentions, but everybody feels. Jung referred to this strange force as emotional resonance, a magnetic pull that repressed feelings create between two people. Now here's something to really pay attention to. If this person only behaves this way around you, it's not just a coincidence. If they become a little more anxious, more guarded, or even more animated when you're nearby, they're likely trying to manage emotions they're afraid to face. Their silence isn't empty. It's full of meaning. So ask yourself, is there someone who behaves like this with you? Someone who seems to hover at the edge of closeness, never quite stepping in fully, but never truly leaving either. If so, they may be silently hoping you'll see through the gaps and understand what they can't say aloud. Sometimes love doesn't arrive with roses, grand speeches, or fireworks. Sometimes it hides in the smallest acts, the quiet ones no one notices. Someone picks up your slack at work without saying a word. A friend remembers exactly how you like your coffee and brings it on a tough day. You say thank you, and they just shrug. It's nothing. But is it really? These quiet, thoughtful actions may be the loudest form of silent love. People who are secretly in love often show up for you in ways they can't explain, because their feelings don't give them a choice. It's not about being nice or helpful. It's about a deep emotional investment that drives them to care, even when it's inconvenient, even when they get nothing in return. Carl Jung explained that repressed emotions often take shape through behavior. What someone can't say, they act out. In silent love, this means going the extra mile not for attention, but for connection. These gestures often come disguised as casual kindness, but there's a consistency to them. They always show up when you're not okay. They notice when others don't. And they do the kind of things most people would never think to do, unless they genuinely felt something. Think of the person who anticipates your needs before you speak them, who shows up when everyone else fades. They're not trying to impress you, they're trying to ease your burden. But they won't make it obvious, because they don't want to risk changing the relationship dynamic. So they let their care hide in what looks like coincidence or politeness. It's also worth noticing how they respond to your emotional state. Do they get quiet when you're down? Do they offer small comforts, not as advice givers, but as quiet companions? This is how silent love speaks, not with noise, but with presence. They show you, in 100 tiny ways, that you matter more than you realize. And here's the truth. Someone who doesn't feel anything won't go out of their way to consistently support you. They won't sacrifice their time, their attention, or their energy, especially when there's nothing to gain. But someone who loves you silently, they'll do it all, and still pretend it meant nothing. So the next time someone helps you when you didn't even ask, or lightens your load, without fanfare, don't dismiss it as chance. It might be the purest form of love, the kind that expects nothing and gives everything. Have you ever noticed that someone keeps showing up in your life, almost as if the universe itself is weaving them into your story? You bump into them unexpectedly. They call or message just as you were thinking about them. Conversations with them flow effortlessly. It might feel like fate, or it might be something Carl Jung called synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that are too aligned to be accidental. When someone silently loves you, they may not confess it in words, but their energy finds ways to connect with you. You might notice little signs. Their presence when you need comfort, a text right when your mind drifts toward them, or the strange feeling that they're always around when you're feeling most open. These aren't just coincidences. They're emotional echoes, subconscious efforts to stay connected, even without conscious intent. And it doesn't stop there. Have you felt that invisible tension when you're near a certain someone? That heavy silence charged with meaning? Those long pauses that feel louder than words? That's not imagination. That's emotional resonance. Jung believed our subconscious connects us to others beyond logic or language. When someone's feelings are repressed, they don't disappear, they vibrate underneath the surface, creating an emotional field you feel, even if you can't explain it. Another fascinating sign: they may start to overlap with your world, not just physically, but emotionally and symbolically. You discover shared interests, similar past experiences, or unexpected alignment in values and goals. When you mention a passion of yours, they light up too. When you tell a story, they've lived a version of it. These synchronicities aren't always about romantic destiny, but they're rarely random either. And while these connections may never be spoken aloud, they build something unshakable. A bond, a pull, a knowing. You might even start dreaming of them, feeling their emotional presence during moments of reflection or stillness. It's as if some part of you is aware of the unspoken connection, long before your mind has made sense of it. So, if someone keeps crossing your path, if you feel their presence when they're not even around, or if your life keeps twisting and turning back toward them, maybe it's time to stop calling it coincidence. Maybe it's silent love, echoing through the invisible, waiting for one of you to finally recognize what's always been there. Words can be masked, feelings can be buried, but the body, it doesn't know how to lie. One of the most powerful signs of silent love is hidden in the way someone physically responds to your presence. These aren't the dramatic moves from romance films. They're subtle, unconscious, and deeply revealing. Think about it. Have you ever caught someone looking at you just a second too long, only for them to quickly look away the moment your eyes meet? Or maybe during a conversation, they lean in closer without even realizing it, as if some invisible force is pulling them toward you. These quiet gestures often mean more than anything they'll ever say out loud. According to Carl Jung, the unconscious mind constantly expresses itself through the body, especially when emotions are too strong or risky to be spoken. In the case of silent love, this might appear in small fidgety movements, voice changes, a sudden softness in their tone, or even nervous laughter. Their body is trying to manage something their mind hasn't dared to confess. Watch for the little shifts. Do they fix their clothes or touch their hair when you walk into the room? Do they become more alert, more expressive, more present when you're near? These reactions aren't rehearsed. They're instinctive, and they often signal heightened awareness and emotional investment. Accidental touches are another clue. A brush of the hand, a hand on your back, a knee touching yours under the table. Subtle, quick, maybe even played off as nothing, but they reveal a deeper urge for closeness. People who feel nothing don't notice these moments. People who care, their unconscious seeks connection, even in the tiniest ways. Even facial expressions change. A smile that appears as soon as you enter the room, eyes that light up at your presence, a gaze that lingers longer than it should. These micro-expressions speak volume. You can't fake that kind of glow, because it doesn't come from the surface. It comes from somewhere far beneath. So, if someone around you seems to physically react when you're nearby, not in dramatic ways, but in spontaneous, hard-to-hide ways, take notice. It might be the body's way of confessing what the heart still doesn't have words for. In silent love, the body often tells the truth long before the person ever will. There's something strange about hearing your name come out of someone else's mouth, especially when they say it just a little differently. Softer, slower, with more weight than usual. That small detail, the way someone speaks your name, might carry more emotion than they'll ever admit. One of the clearest signs of silent love: you show up in their words, even when you're not around. Maybe you're brought up in stories, random jokes, or conversations that don't even have anything to do with you. You become part of their vocabulary without them even realizing it. That's not accidental. That's emotion leaking through language. Carl Jung taught that when a feeling is too strong to confront directly, it finds ways to express itself indirectly. The unconscious takes over, shaping what we say, how we say it, And even when we say it. So when someone who secretly cares about you keeps mentioning you without needing to, it's because they're emotionally preoccupied with your presence. Listen closely, not just for what is said, but how it's said. There's often a subtle pause before your name, or a certain lightness in their voice when they speak about you. It's almost as if, in that moment, they step into a more vulnerable space, and they don't even notice it happening. That flicker, that hesitation, it matters. Sometimes, this person may even tell stories where you somehow appear, even if the story didn't require it. You'll hear things like, "Oh, you know what they'd say," or "That reminds me of when you..." This is the unconscious mind, wrapping you into their inner world, even when the conscious mind is still playing it safe. And what about when your name comes up in other people's conversations? If someone tells you they were talking about you the other day, or they mentioned you randomly, that's another sign. People often talk about who impacts them, even when they think no one is paying attention. The truth is, when someone is silently in love, their thoughts return to you so often that your name naturally slips out. It's not forced. It's not deliberate. It's emotional gravity. You're orbiting in their mind, even when their heart hasn't spoken yet. So, the next time someone brings up your name unexpectedly, listen with more than your ears. Listen with your intuition. You might be hearing the echo of feelings they've never found the courage to say. Sometimes, the most revealing signs of silent love appear when you're talking about someone else. Pay close attention to what happens in those moments. The tone of voice, the shift in energy, the flicker of discomfort in their eyes. Because when someone secretly cares about you, even hearing your affection pointed at someone else can stir something deep within them. This kind of jealousy isn't loud. It doesn't shout, accuse, or confront. In fact, it's often masked as a harmless joke, a quick subject change, or a sarcastic comment. But if you've ever seen someone suddenly grow quiet when you mention someone new, or if they suddenly downplay your story with teasing remarks, it might not be about the other person. It might be about you. Psychology shows us that repressed emotions often come out sideways. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the part of us that holds on to feelings we don't want to admit. When someone is silently in love with you, jealousy slips through that shadow in ways they don't expect. It might show up as a shrug, an eye roll, or even subtle tension in their body language, arms crossed, less eye contact, sudden disinterest. But here's the thing, people don't get jealous over things they don't care about. If your relationship with someone else makes them uneasy, even in small hidden ways, it might be because they've imagined themselves in that space with you. And seeing someone else in it feels like a threat they're not prepared to face. Another subtle sign? They try to redirect your attention. Maybe they highlight their own qualities. Tell a story that suddenly makes them shy, or they casually throw in how they'd never treat you like that. Almost like a whispered hope that you'll notice what they're offering without having to ask for it. They might not even be aware they're doing it. But you'll feel it, that undercurrent of tension, that protective energy, that emotional static when you talk about others. These moments aren't about control, they're about vulnerability. Jealousy is often the emotion that slips out when love is trying its hardest to stay hidden. So, if someone around you always reacts, even slightly when other names come up, if they get quiet or competitive or uncomfortable, ask yourself, because under all the sarcasm, the teasing, the indifference, there might be someone silently hoping they're the one you'll notice first. Sometimes, no one needs to say a word. You feel it, in the pauses, in the way they look at you when they think you're not watching, in the space they create around you, not with grand gestures, but with quiet, invisible presence. You can't explain it logically, but your heart, it knows. That's the most powerful sign of silent love. Your own intuition. That quiet, steady voice inside you that senses something real, even if it hasn't been confirmed. Carl Jung believed that intuition is a deeper form of knowledge, not made of facts or proofs, but of resonance, of emotional truth. And when someone loves you in silence, your unconscious often recognizes it before your conscious mind can catch up. Think about it. Have you ever felt a strange certainty about someone? Like there's something unspoken between you two. Something alive, delicate, and electric, and yet neither of you ever says it. That's not wishful thinking. That's your inner world picking up on signals too subtle for the eyes, but loud enough for the soul. Our bodies read more than we realize. A shift in breathing, a change in tone, a glance that lingers just a bit longer than it should. All of this forms a pattern your unconscious understands, and even if your mind tries to talk you out of it, it's probably nothing. I'm just imagining things. Your feeling remains persistent, quiet, certain. But now the real question arises, what do you do with this knowing? You've seen the signs. Maybe you've recognized someone. Maybe you've even felt the pull, and yet nothing has been said. So, do you wait forever? Do you keep pretending not to notice? Or do you take a risk, not for romance, but for clarity? Not every silent love turns into a love story. Some remain beautiful, unspoken energies that walk beside us like ghosts. But some just need one brave moment to become real. A look, a question, an invitation, not to pressure or confess, but simply to open the door that's been quietly waiting. If you've seen yourself in these words, or seen someone else, maybe it's time to step a little closer. To lean into the feeling, to trust what your heart already knows. Because silent love is powerful, but love that's lived, that's shared, is transformational. If this resonated with you, type "silent love always finds a way" in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you want more content that dives into the deepest parts of human connection, relationships, and emotional truth. See you in the next one.